They wanted you desperate. They wanted you dangling by a thread so thin it sang when the wind hit it. They pushed you to the ledge and told themselves you would slip. But the edge is where focus is born. It is where hands stop shaking, where breath becomes a blade, where the mind carves a map through places no one else survives. You didn't beg for rescue, you learned to build. Stone by stone, discipline by discipline, you made the cliff your fortress and the fall your teacher. They called it the end, you called it the beginning of your rule, and they needed you soft, agreeable, contained, but pressure didn't crush you, it clarified you. You shed the parts of yourself that needed applause, like a soldier dropping excess weight before the climb. You stopped asking for room and created it with silence that demands obedience. You do not announce yourself anymore. The air does it for you, tightening in every room you enter, warning the inattentive that the balance of power has changed. You are not louder, you are heavier. Every step lands like a verdict. They keep their distance now, whispering your name with the caution it deserves, not because you rage, but because you don't. Your calm is the message, your pace is the sentence. You do not chase apologies or rewrite history for their comfort. You carry receipts made of scars and strategies. Where they see battles, you see logistics. Where they see opposition, you see terrain. And terrain is patient. Terrain does not move for noise. Terrain outlasts. They say you're different, they're right. You no longer reach for doors that were meant to lock you out. You carve new hallways, set your own tables, and measure loyalty by backbone, not volume. The edge taught you to value the few and ignore the many. It taught you to be surgical with energy, merciless with boundaries, and faithful only to the mission. You are not here to be embraced. You are here to be unavoidable. They pushed you to the edge. You learned to build there. And from that impossible ledge, with wind in your teeth and iron in your chest, you raised a citadel they cannot climb, a standard they cannot meet, and a silence they cannot endure. You do not threaten, you exist. That is enough. They thought the edge would starve you of oxygen, of certainty, of love, and yet it fed you discipline. You learned to ration your breath, to slow your heart until even fear had to whisper for permission. Up there, with nothing but wind and will, you discovered the difference between wanting strength and earning it. You stood so long with your toes over nothing that balance became instinct. Doubt learned your name and stopped visiting, and when you finally moved, you didn't step back, you stepped forward into the space they swore would swallow you, and it held because you commanded it to. You don't ask the ground to be steady anymore, you make it steady. Your presence is the foundation, your word is the scaffolding, your standards are the stone. You stopped negotiating your worth with people who profit from your confusion. The ledge taught you the arithmetic of destiny. Subtract the noise, divide the burden, multiply the discipline, and add only what strengthens your spine. Now you carry yourself like a verdict already signed. Ink dry, seal pressed, case closed. The room doesn't wait to see if you belong. The room adjusts to your gravity and learns. They still try old keys on a door that no longer exists. Invitations arrive late. Praise arrives hollow, and none of it reaches you because you've built at an altitude where flattery can't breathe. You don't fight for visibility. You operate at a frequency too clear to be debated. Your quiet is no longer misunderstood. It is feared, not because it hints at rage, but because it promises restraint, and restraint is the last thing they can match. Anyone can shout. Few can hold a line in silence and mean it. You mean it. So let them circle the base of what you've built, heads tilted back, squinting at a fortress they were certain you could never raise. Let them wonder which moment changed you, which betrayal sealed it, which night cemented your vow. You won't answer. The edge already did. It taught you how to own distance, how to pace inevitability, how to carry fire without burning your hands. You didn't just survive where they pushed you, you made it strategic ground. And from that height, you choose your battles, name your price, and move only when the outcome is already yours. You stopped mistaking comfort for safety the day the wind tried to pry you loose and failed. The edge taught you a harder truth, that safety lives inside discipline, not cushions. You trained your breath to outlast panic, your focus to outstare the fall, your patience to wear down mountains. Now you move like a verdict, slow, deliberate, irreversible. Where others sprint, you advance. Where others react, you calculate. The difference is not talent, it's tolerance. You learn to tolerate what would crush them. They still study you for weakness as if it were a riddle they can solve. But the only answer is work. Work when no one is watching. Work when doubt is loud. Work when the path disappears and all you have is the promise you made to yourself. That promise hardened into law. You don't negotiate with fatigue. You don't bargain with fear. You stack small, brutal victories until momentum bends the world in your direction. This is why rooms fall silent when you enter, not because you threaten, but because you embody consequences. You don't recruit approval anymore. You recruit reality, numbers, results, boundaries like stone. You speak less because your standards speak first. And when you do speak, it is not to ask, it is to set terms. The ledge turned you into an architect of pressure, a steward of scarcity, a leader who can carry others because you learn to carry yourself. Those who can't respect the altitude are welcome to leave. There is no oxygen for excuses up here, so you keep building, one measured choice at a time. No theatrics, no needless noise, no detours shaped like comfort. You let the horizon come to you because you've already earned the ground beneath your feet. They pushed you to the edge. You learned to build there, and now the edge is gone, not because it moved, but because you did. You expanded the cliff into a kingdom. You marked the sky with your will. And anyone who doubts what you've become will find themselves learning the same lesson you did. Gravity favors the disciplined. You learn to trust the weight, to let it sit on your shoulders until your bones adapted and your breath steadied and the strain became signal, not suffering. What used to make you shake now makes you sharp. Pressure no longer asks you questions. It answers them. It tells you where to stand, how long to hold, when to move. You don't sprint away from the load. You move under it with certainty, and the ground itself learns to respect your steps. The old tactics don't touch you anymore. Distraction slides off the armor you forged. Doubt taps your chest and finds a wall. Noise tries to crowd your mind and is met with discipline, arranged like soldiers at dawn. Quiet, aligned, unbreakable. You don't need adrenaline to start. You need alignment. You don't chase momentum. You manufacture it with routine that does not beg for your mood. The world calls that ruthless. You call it truthful. Results don't care how you feel, neither do mountains. They'll say you're distant now, harder to reach, less available to their small storms. They're right. Distance is a tool. Boundaries are oxygen. Altitude demands it. Up here you choose few words and heavy ones. You keep the circle tight and the standard tighter. You measure a person by what they carry when it's heavy, not what they promise when it's light. Your patience is longer, your fuse is shorter, and your aim is exact. You don't swing often, you connect. So you keep moving like a clock that refuses to lie, steady, inevitable, on time for your own destiny. You honor the promise you made at the edge. No turning back for comfort, no lowering the bar for applause, no pausing for permission. If the path narrows, you narrow with it. If the wind rises, you plant deeper. You were pushed to the brink and built there. Now the brink has a name, it's yours, and the only way forward is through the doors you've decided will open. You stopped asking if you were ready the day you realized readiness is a luxury and commitment is a requirement. You chose the requirement. You tightened the laces, straightened the spine, and met the weight as if it were an old rival with nothing new to say. Doubt will always talk. Discipline doesn't. Discipline acts, and action repeated without apology becomes character. That's what they feel when you enter, the gravity of someone who did the work when no one was clapping and kept going after the noise faded. The edge taught you to love the simple things that terrify the untrained, early hours, empty rooms, long silences that reveal who you are without an audience. It taught you to measure progress in inches, to stack them until the summit stops being a fantasy and becomes a schedule. You don't crave ease anymore. You crave clarity. You don't chase sparks, you build firewood. You know consistency is not glamorous, but it is undefeated, and it has chosen you as one of its own. They still wait for you to react so they can steer your path. You refuse the invitation. You let storms pass through you like wind through a canyon, heard but not obeyed. Your standard is the only weather you acknowledge. When you move, it is because the plan reached its hour, not because their voices found yours. You trust your pace the way a mountain trusts its shape. Slow, immovable, inevitable. Let them sprint. You will arrive with breath to spare and work still in you. So keep building. Keep choosing the heavy version of every task until the heavy becomes home. Keep honoring the promise you made at the brink, to never trade long-term strength for short-term comfort, to never dim the flame for rooms allergic to heat, to never forget that pressure was the first place that recognized your name. You were pushed to the edge and you built there. Now the edge is your foundation, the climb is your language, and the view belongs to you. And when they finally reach where you started, you'll already be higher, quiet, steady, unshakable, proving once again that the disciplined do not chase distance. They create it. Like, comment, and subscribe.